Hey the internet, this is Lock. I'm going to talk about MOBAs and eSports for a little bit, but don't worry if that isn't your jam. We'll get to that sweet MMO center shortly. If that's not good enough, then you have my sincere apologies, but you'll never get your click back, so you might as well stick around, okay? Let's do it. If there's one thing you can say about Blizzard, is they have an extraordinary track record of realizing the potential of the game mediums they work in, at least as far as getting players logging in again and again and again and again. World of Warcraft took the MMO from an obscurity really to a phenomenon, and now Hearthstone has become another mega hit that brought the joys of collectible card games to a whole new audience, maybe a whole new generation. Now Blizzard are trying to accomplish a similar thing in the MOBA space, and while it's one with less potential for growth, with League of Legends obviously occupying the position WoW once held as the behemoth of PC games, you know, there's a real kind of saturated eSports scene, especially with leagues really dwarfing its competitors already. Blizzard are having a crack, nonetheless, with a game called Heroes of the Storm. And if you were gonna put money on anyone being able to crack it and really make a go of it, you know, you're gonna put your money on the trademark Blizzard brand accessibility. And as part of that, Heroes of the Dorm, an esports event. It was certainly anything but grassroots, but it just concluded. It was a mega thing. They put a ton of money into it, loads of advertising, getting college teams to participate with the reward of having their tuition fees paid. I thought was a really good idea. I'm all for that. But since I live on an inconvenient side of the Atlantic, I didn't get to watch it. I assumed it'd be on Twitch or at least streaming somewhere, but no, it was on a channel I can only assume usually deals with matters of extrasensory perception. That's that's a bit of anagram humor for you. I hope you enjoyed it. That's the standard of comedy you can expect from me. It does seem incredibly strange that it wasn't on Twitch, doesn't it? I mean, it definitely means a few more people now know that esports is a thing, whether they wanted to know that or if they cared, or not, as the case may be. So yes, MOBAs, esports, blah blah blah. But what of MMOs? How will this affect us? What's going to happen? Well, I think it sort of already does affect us in a pretty major way. The money has certainly moved to MOBA. Investors definitely want in on the esport action, and it's only a matter of time before that starts swinging back around into the MMO space. I think it may have happened already. I personally, I wouldn't be surprised if that was part of the reason ArenaNet made such a song and dance around esports when Guild Wars 2 was in development. I mean, maybe they wanted to ride the increase in popularity, but I mean, fortunately, they've been very successful without it, because honestly, I can't convince myself they really thought that Guild Wars 2 would have been successful as an esport. Now, with a major caveat to that, I think Guild Wars 2 is a really wonderful game. I've spent a lot of time playing it and a lot of time playing the PvP. I think the PvP's up there, really with the best in MMO land. I'm struggling to think of any that really stand head and shoulders above it as being better, but let's be honest, if you don't play the game seriously, if you don't play Guild Wars 2 seriously and in a competitive way, it's impossible to follow what's going on when you watch that. And really, with all the love in the world, it looks like a spammy mess of particle effects if you don't know, if you're tuning in for the first time. But hang on, they cried indignantly. So does League of Legends. But I think with League, at least it has clear it has clear swings of momentum. It has clear objectives. You know who came out best from a certain encounter, and you know why they're going into it in the first place. And that provides a narrative for the action, and of course the utterly enormous player base that they got. I like that from removing that pesky barrier to entry that is money. You know, big games tend to get bigger, and it takes a long time to become an overnight success. So, with that in mind, what would it take to make an MMO that could be successful as an esport? I made a short little list just off the top of my head, thinking about, you know, the direction that esports are going in anyway, and trying to think a little bit about PvP and MMOs in general, and other games that, you know, they're going for the grassroots thing via tournaments on Twitch and so forth. I think number one, the first thing that really jumped out at me was just simplify. You know, simplify. There's too many different abilities. They all go by the blink of the eye, super quick. You know, action combat. It fires off. It's gone. What is it? Who was doing that? Why? What does it do? Was it good? Did it do the right thing? What does it mean? Oh, they've both died twice since then, and I still have no idea why or what's going on. And number two, we're gonna do the Fight Club thing. Number two is just simplify again. You know, who's who's that doing what? Where's she going? Why are they all running off in different directions? Why are they calling the ball a flag? All of these problems that exist in esports as they are at the moment as well, but just that really confusing element of why are all these people doing all of these different things? It's that, you know, we really need to think about ways that we can just simplify and, you know, put everything in that channel so we can immediately see what everyone's doing and why. And I think that ties into number three, which is just have a clear objective. That's something a lot of MMOs are missing. You know, watching points tick up is not a good way of creating drama. That's why only the last few minutes of a basketball match are exciting in a close match, and why there's not really, you never get those really epic plays in a capture point match. You don't get those real swing moments, and that's number four, which is allow momentum to swing and really make that part of the game. Make momentum swinging part of the game. If the team that gets the best start usually wins, you have the opposite problem to the basketball match. You know, only the first few minutes are exciting, and then you go, okay, this team's probably going to win, and now I'm going to wander off and do something else rather than watch. Number five, I think, is a pretty obvious one, which is have as few barriers to entry as possible, as subscriptions are kind of leaving the MMO space. That's not really the done thing these days. You know, as free to play becomes bigger, as more quality free to play titles come out, I think that's going to be a key in creating critical mass for the game, which in turn is a key to creating a sustainable competitive environment. Players need to be able to log on and get a game in reasonable time with players of roughly their level of ability. Now that sounds like a really simple thing, but creating that critical mass, there's been good games that have missed out on that for one reason or another. So it's really it's the first step, isn't it? You know, you can't build your castle on sand. And number six, which I actually think is the most difficult thing, and probably a barrier that MMOs just won't really ever be able to achieve, which is make the skill cap as high as possible. Now, there's a lot of reasons I believe that, and we'll probably get into that in another time of skill caps in MMOs. But I think a major thing, and another thing, this is more for esports in general as well as MMOs, but, you know, competitors, I think, if you're watching a professional level match of anything, if you're watching something to appreciate the skill, or you're following a team or anything, you know, you need to see that the competitors are doing things that the average viewer couldn't do. They need to be able to be good enough to be that much better, and we as other players or even just spectators, we need to see and understand that what they're doing is hard to do, and it takes skill and work and coordination and all of those things. And I think that as well is something that's been missing from esports. So there's a quick list. Is all this possible? Honestly, I think it's unlikely, because my number 7, it felt a little too obvious to actually put on the list, is just have all the players. Have all the players, and then then you can be successful. And honestly, like, I don't know if we'll have an MMO with enough of a draw anytime soon, let alone one that satisfies the criteria I believe is necessary for esports success. I don't know what's coming up. Black Desert, that's gonna make a splash, but I don't think that's set up for esports in any way. EverQuest Next, a lot of people are gonna get on that, especially since it's free. But I don't know if PvP is really going to be the thing in that game with the way that their PvE content's being designed. So who knows? Let me know what you think. Is there a game coming up that you think has a chance? Is there a game that's already out whose scene is growing and I'm just not aware of it? Is there anything else an MMO can do to get a slice of that esports success? Should they try? Should they just ignore it completely? Is Blizzard doing the right thing trying to kickstart the scene, or can it only happen through grassroots development? So many questions, and I have none of the answers. But maybe if you thought this discussion was worthwhile or interesting, if you think it's a discussion worth having, you could hit that like button. There's another button that says subscribe. You can press that so you can find out about all the wonderful things coming on this channel. And all that's left is to say thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you real soon. Bye!